Want to level up your guitar solos without diving into a bunch of music theory? I'm going to show you a super simple trick that instantly opens up your soloing range, all explained and found right on the fretboard. It's called major-minor relativity. And here's what's wild. I had 4 different guitar teachers growing up and not one of them ever showed me this. No clue why, but it's truly one of the easiest and most fun ways to level up your soloing. I've been teaching this to my students for years and they've loved how fast it clicks with them and how it immediately improves their soloing. In this video, I'll show you exactly how easy it is to use it in any major or minor key, no matter where you're at with your playing. By the way, if you're just getting started with soloing, make sure to download my free beginner soloist handbook that I've put together. It's packed with all sorts of scales and arpeggios and reference material so that you have it all in one place. The link is in the description below and it includes what we're covering today. The concept we're covering today is called major and minor relativity. But you don't really need to know much of any theory in order to use this. You will need to at least know your notes on the 6th string so we can locate your scale. Let's say that you already know your tried and true minor pentatonic shape, the one that looks like this, and I'll play it off of the A. Let me demo this for you right quick over an A minor backing track, which is only the A minor chord. If this is the only scale shape that you know, then it's likely that you keep recycling the same old phrases and licks because that just tends to happen when we play these box shapes. We play what is comfortable and rarely break out of them. But let's face it, it's time to add another shape and it's not that hard. But how can we easily do that? Let's add a major scale, more specifically the relative major scale. It's going to give us 2 more notes than the 5-note pentatonic scale that I just played, and it expands our range on the guitar. Every minor scale has a relative major scale, and what that means is they are the same family, they are the same notes, the same DNA, the same blood, the same everything. And here's how you find it easily on the fretboard. So you don't have to use theory, we'll just use the fretboard here. Let's root our minor pentatonic scale off of A like I just played. That's the 5th fret of the 6th string. Now this is the root of the minor scale, and now we're going to locate its relative, the major scale. All you simply do is go to the 2nd note of that minor pentatonic scale that you're playing in this shape, and that is its relative major. So if I'm playing this shape, the 2nd note I'm playing is this one with my pinky on the 8th fret. That is the relative major root right there on the 8th fret. What this means is I can root a major scale now on that 8th fret, and I'm adding 2 notes by playing a major scale. And in this case, we'll be adding a B and an F in this major scale because those 2 notes were stripped out of the minor pentatonic scale to make it a 5-tone scale. So I'm going to play a 3-note per string major scale off of this C on the 8th fret. So I'll play this version here. Now let me put this scale to use over the same A minor backing track that I used with the pentatonic scale, and you'll see that it works perfectly. Now, as you could hear, it may not have been the best melody ever because I'm playing only over an A minor chord, but the C major scale worked perfectly over that and gave me 2 more notes in addition to what I had with just the minor pentatonic. Now obviously you can look at this from the opposite direction too. What if the only major scale, or the only scale that you know, is this major scale right here, which a lot of people learn first? Now that's a C major scale off of the 8th fret, but just put your pinky on the root of that scale and fall back to what would be the first note of the minor pentatonic. And right there you have the relative minor pentatonic, which in this case, the relative minor to C major is A minor. Now I'm not saying you can use the minor pentatonic and its relative major scale over any track. If you're playing over an A blues, for example, and then you go to the C major scale, you're going to encounter a little bit of tension or dissonance with some of those notes. But for most regular major or minor tracks, it's going to work beautifully. It gives you some options to maybe play something bluesy and familiar with your pentatonic shape, or something a little more melodic sounding with 7 notes to choose from in your major scale. And you don't have to know a bunch of music theory to do this. You simply need to know what key the song is in, and most of the time when you look up a backing track, it tells you if it's in A minor, then you put your A minor pentatonic directly on that A right there. And then of course you go to the second note of your minor pentatonic and you find the relative major scale and you root your major scale from that note right there. In this case it would be C. Now if the key happens to be in a major key, like C major for example, I can play my major scale off of the C, of course, if I want to solo over that. But if I want to play the minor pentatonic scale and do a little bit of bluesy phrasing or something like that, then I'll do the fallback thing that I talked about and fall back to the relative minor pentatonic by putting my pinky on the major root and falling back. But let's demonstrate that, what it would sound like over a C major chord. I'll start in C major. Jump to A minor. C major. A minor. That's it. It's that simple. Give it a try and experiment, because putting it into practice and making a couple of mistakes is what's going to teach you how and when to use this best over certain tracks of music. Now let me just quickly say, for those of you who want the theory behind this, instead of just using the pentatonic scale to find it on the fretboard, let's explain. If you take any major scale and go to the 6th tone of the scale, that is the relative minor key, which uses the exact same notes in its scale. We were using C major, and if you count up the C major scale to the 6th tone, you get A. Now if you take a minor scale and go to its 3rd tone, you will find its relative major scale. The 3rd tone of the A minor scale is C, and that C major is its relative major. That's the on-paper way to find relative majors and minors, but I still prefer just to visualize it all right on the fretboard with the minor pentatonic, because it's fast and simple, and if you don't know your music theory, you can still find the relative scale very easily. Now if you're interested in working on your soloing more and making it sound more melodic and less scalar, I recently made a video about that very subject, and you can watch it here next.